Let Dizzle talk to you. Now, of course, you see me wearing the specs, you would think that, oh, you know what? He's doing a hill bit because he lost his predictions championship for the whole money in the bank stuff. Here's the thing. Nah, no, I'm doing this because of the video that you see in the thumbnail and the reason for all of this. Now, also, where has Dizzle been? One, during this whole time of my hiatus, I've been remodeling stuff within the residential area. Also had a birthday on Monday. So happy belated birthday to Dizzle from you all. Thank you very much. Now, the other thing, it has hit me hard. I'm pretty sure Scoot has come on here and gloated about it, whatever, whatever. I'm going to get the title back. But I've recollected myself and I've had time to sit here and think and go over things, but it doesn't matter because that's not what we're here for. What we are here for is to talk about what could be potentially a future mega star. And we haven't talked about that in a while for anybody, but I think we have one. Spoiler alert, we're talking about L.A. Knight. Yeah. So, of course, let's roll that mother effing intro. Yeah.
Free fall as I die through the kaleidoscope in my mind. No rope up to climb. Gotta remind myself that I'm fine. Mama, I don't really wanna.
Now, of course, yeah, the specs have to come off because I can't do the whole video like that. I mean, I could, but we're not going to. It does a number on the eyes, man, because then you sit here and you get the whole thing. Everything's all dim and whatever. I'm not about that, at least not now. But who we here to talk about? LA Knight. Come on. And why am I so basic? You can't put me very small right here. Granted, we are talking about a megastar, and that was done coincidentally. But either way, we are talking about LA Knight and what the potential for him in WWE could be. And personally, what I believe that it's actually going to be. Because we have somebody where it's like all the stars align. Now, maybe not so much in the sense of there being, as far as the age deal here, because of course we all know that he is, I believe he might be 40 now, if I am correct. Yes, he is 40 as November of last year. So he will be pushing 41 this year, obviously. But I think especially within this time frame, I don't think that we necessarily have to too much worry about that, mainly because we have so many stars that have come from elsewhere. AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura. WWE continuously, calls back other superstars to come out of the woodwork to do XYZ. But I think at this point, I think Vince McMahon is the only one that really considers age in anything. But that's going to be more to my point within the situation of what we're going to be talking about, because LA Knight is, at this point right now, is the only person who has that megastar appeal. And I say that because you think about him coming from NXT, clearly he was already within the independent scene. He was in Impact, where he was a champion, obviously, but he was already talked about enough within NXT that he was already past what they were doing over there, to where he could have easily slotted himself into the main roster. And even when he made his debut on NXT, I was even somebody who had stated that he was somebody who looked like he was already geared and prepped and catered for the main roster. Like, you could have taken him and slotted him directly into whatever storyline they had going on, and he could have fit in perfectly. Now, the thing, of course, I believe that he did it the right way. I think you could have slotted him, but I think during that time, because of Vince McMahon having a chokehold on every single thing main roster related, I think now, with Triple H being where he is, aside from the whole backstage civil war stuff going on between Vince and Triple H as being reported, but I think that with Triple H having at the very least, one hand on the steering wheel, we have a chance to get what we need to get out of all of these superstars that are within the company right now. I mean, case in point, he is a Triple H guy, because had we just had Vince have both hands on the wheel with this whole thing, we would have had Max Dupree just sitting in the back, just doing absolutely nothing, or potentially fired. But with Triple H there, of course, we got the name LA Knight back. We got LA Knight as the persona back. So we're in a position where we're able to see exactly what I said at the intro, a megastar where all the stars align come to fruition. And I think that's a fantastic thing. I think it's an absolutely dope thing. And he's not somebody that you have to really train. I mean, he's been in the WWE training system prior to NXT, even prior to him going to Impact. But, he's also been a champion elsewhere. And usually that tends to cater positively for that person, i.e. AJ Styles. But he's shown and proven that he can, hold himself, at a championship standard elsewhere. And he's already shown, in ring, on the mic, just charisma and characteristically hold himself as somebody who can stand on his own. And normally you don't really get that. And this is at the point in time where everything lines up. So with his age, I think that's more of the reason where you should be able to strike while the iron is hot. Now, I think that he spent enough time in NXT when he didn't need to, obviously. But I think him doing that allowed him to get that star power within the main roster, because had he come in, aside from the whole Vince McMahon thing, had he come in at that point in the main roster, he could have easily gotten stale. You think of how Keith Lee was portrayed. You think of how Karrion Kross was portrayed. Matter of fact, let's pull Keith Lee aside and let's stick on the Karrion Kross thing. Karrion Kross is somebody who holds himself at a standard as well, but he's somebody who you would technically have to, for lack of a better term, typecast. He has to be, that one type of person who he has to be dominant. He is the personification of dominance. So when you put him into anything that's not that, it may not portray well. LA Knight doesn't have that problem. LA Knight, you can slot him heel, face, be perfectly fine. And we're going to get to the comparisons of Rock and Austin, but I'm going to stick on this point here because Rock was the same way. Rock was somebody who, who had that charisma and who could have that same charisma being both heel and a face. And you don't necessarily get that all the time. You either have somebody who is a fantastic face and could not do heel work, and then you have somebody who is particularly heel and you can't really see them as a face. You look at a Miz, with the Miz, when he did his whole run with Ric Flair where he got the figure four, which is why he uses it now, where he was doing his face run, it didn't portray well on screen. And it just not somebody like Miz has to be some arrogant, pompous, chicken shit heel. He has to. That's his thing. It works for him. And Miz's in-ring style doesn't cater to him actually being a face, because he's not going to be the type of person that you see to put on those type of matches. Now, speaking of matches, you think you can look at LA Knight and you can see his in-ring style as one that promotes longevity. So even if you have somebody here who is of a certain age that maybe, Vince does not like, right? If you put him in a scene where you put the strap on him, right? You still have somebody who's not going to be taking so many risks that's going to injure them and put them out, like how, like a Samoa Joe kept getting. Samoa Joe is up there in age, but, he was very injury prone. And that's not to say that Samoa Joe does so many, off the wall things that could potentially injure him, but Samoa Joe will take risk and he will do the hard hitting matches. That's not to say that LA Knight won't do them, but LA Knight is somebody who you can look at as the same way that an MJF is and how he does things. MJF doesn't do anything that's going to be completely noteworthy in the ring. He's going to placate to the match itself, and he's going to do things based on his character, which is why he is doing so fucking fantastically well within his realm. But you have somebody in LA Knight who can be both heel, both face, work a style that promotes his longevity within the company forever, how long he wants to be at this point. And you don't really have to worry about, his health, within the ring. On top of that, if he does happen to get hurt or injured, but something light, of course, I'm not saying something completely dramatic, you still have somebody who can promote outside the company because he has a look that's aesthetically pleasing, and it's aesthetically the complete package. I mean, you can look at him and you can see somebody who you can basically place anywhere to promote WWE. It's almost like he's a gift wrap present for Roman Reigns' departure, because now you have somebody who you can easily slot in to be a potential face of the company. You don't have to worry about shooting a Austin Theory to the moon, which we'll get to him as well. You don't have to worry about shooting an Austin Theory to the moon before he's ready. You can take your time and keep him in the incubator for a little bit and let the guys who are used to being within the event scene do their thing. It's as simple as that. And I don't understand why we can't just easily allow, let's say, allow Triple H to do what he's meant to do within this situation, because one, he already knows these guys. A lot of these guys are from NXT. A lot of these guys are guys that he brought up within NXT and then brought to the main roster, whether they were signed off or they were done reluctantly against his will because of Vince, Bruce Pritchard, and Kevin Dunn. But this is one of the situations where you can't really go wrong with this. There's no way, especially at the point where we're at now, where you have everybody, the fan base, the crowd, everybody eating out of the palm of LA Knight's hands. You have a guy with a fantastic catchphrase that everybody eats the fuck up. You have a guy who can talk endlessly. You have a guy who gets a genuine pop, pop. Now, of course, the whole heel face thing, I mean, granted, right now, you could easily make him a face, and you should, and we'll get to that as well. But let's first talk about this, though, because we have the whole Money in the Bank situation, and I was somebody who thought that LA Knight should have won Money in the Bank. Like I had him on my number one picks as far as who would win, but he didn't. And I think it would have been okay if he won, but thinking about it, even after the fact, I think Damian Priest deserves it more, and I think it works more for the whole deal of where I believe Judgment Day is going, and that video is definitely coming soon. But yeah, I think that it would have been cool for him to win it, but I think in the grand scheme of things, it would have been a disservice to LA Knight to win Money in the Bank. And I say that because it would have, for lack of a better term, pigeonholed him into a situation where he would have gotten to a point where he probably would have cashed in, obviously, but he would have been put into a position where he probably wouldn't have been ready in an organic sense as far as WWE goes and storylines go, because I think if you look at the comparisons between Austin and Rock, and this is the reason why I particularly state that LA Knight at this point in time, it wouldn't have done him well to win Money in the Bank. I think if he would have come just straight out of NXT into Money in the Bank and then won and it been like a shock thing, yes. But since he's already got this star power, since he's got the fan base in the palm of his hand, since he is where he is, where everything is aligned for him to be a megastar within WWE, the comparisons between Austin and Rock within LA Knight is the reason why he should not have won Money in the Bank regardless, which is why it's a good thing that he didn't win. And I say that because if we look at Rock and Austin when they first came in. So when they first came in, Rock and Austin both only won the Intercontinental Championship twice each. On top of that, that's the only mid-card title that they've won. Rock nor Austin won the European Championship. They both won their first Intercontinental Championship in 1997. Now, at the same time, they ended up, because Rock's debut, he had debuted in Survivor Series, and after that, he went on to face Triple H and then win the Intercontinental Championship for the first time from Hunter Hearst Helmsley Triple H, the whole blue blood thing. Stone Cold was the tournament where he beat Owen Hart, where he broke his neck and he won the title. But I forgot. I was there for it. Well, not there in the building, but I was there watching it, obviously. But they had their feud, and then he ended up winning it again from Owen Hart. And ironically enough, Austin ended up handing Rock the Intercontinental Championship for Rock's second reign. Rock didn't beat Stone Cold for it. And then Rock carried that into 1998, where, of course, he inevitably lost to Triple H during that ladder match where you had Nation Domination and DX feuding. Fantastic ladder match. I loved it. But within the span of a 2-year period is when they collectively held their Intercontinental Championships, their only mid-card title wins. And then from that point, they went on to win their first world championship. Of course, Stone Cold within March 29th of 1998, obviously at WrestleMania. I forgot. Is it 13? Let me just double check, because I get no, because it had to be. I get foggy in a lot of the details because it's me, and I've watched wrestling for a very long time, so obviously there's been plenty. But yeah, Stone Cold won his first one. WrestleMania 14, of course, against Shawn Michaels. That's the one where Mike Tyson was the enforcer, but he had won his first one then, and then Rock won his November 15th, 1998, same year. Believe that was the one where he aligned himself with the corporation. I believe, quote me on it. I'll look it up later at some point, but not now because I've already looked up Stone Cold's and we've already gone through that already. Anyway, now, the reason that I bring these two up, because you have these comparisons between these two, because lately LA Knight has been compared to these two nonsensically, to the point to where it's hard not to look at the comparison in this way, because this is one of the reasons why I believe LA Knight is potentially going to win the United States Championship. And this is where Austin Theory comes into play, because obviously he is the current United States champion as of this point. And I believe LA Knight is going to win that championship at SummerSlam. And I believe this is going to be what transitions LA Knight into a face, because I think if they're going to strike while the iron is hot and allow him to just boost his star power within the company and have them build that future star primarily for SmackDown, this is where you go, because you have a lot of stuff with the bloodline going on, obviously, with Roman, and that's going to come to a head at some point. But while that's going on, that doesn't mean everything else has to take a back seat like that. You can still keep cooking things, so that way, the moment that this main thing is done, you are coming out of the woodwork with everything that you've been building up to this entire time. Because think about it. It also makes perfect sense, because if you have this whole thing that Vince has been planning with Roman Reigns, and you have all this stuff that Triple H has been jotting down, waiting for, right? It makes the perfect segue for it's like where Vince stuff out, Triple H stuff in. And I believe personally, which is why I'm going to do this series of videos in regards to where I believe the future of WWE is headed to within certain stars, factions, whatever the case may be. But LA Knight, this, at least on the SmackDown side, potentially Raw side, whatever the case is, depending on whatever happens with Cody Rhodes. But hell, even with Cody Rhodes in the mix, you can still do this, because if Cody Rhodes is the person that is going to defeat Roman Reigns and dethrone him, LA Knight can still be holding that United States Championship, and then you can start something with him and Cody Rhodes down the line. But the reason I bring that up with the comparison between The Rock and Austin is because if you're going to have LA Knight beat Austin Theory and hold this United States Championship for a few months to a year, whatever, it's almost mirroring both of those stars with him, to where this is his mid-card title, to the point where he's still building up his star, his megastar potential and state, to where while you have Cody or whoever being a champ, this can usher in a new era within WWE where you have LA Knight as the top guy, and you can just milk that until it's all said and done. But right now is the perfect thing. The perfect thing. Look, money, promotion, marketing, everything. People are going to eat this up, because if he is the potential megastar that I believe that he's going to be within the end of 2023, 2024, 2025, 6, whatever, this is where you can capitalize on something that potentially was not going to be touched had Vince McMahon been all over this. So in order for this to work, I say you make Vince eat his words, because I look at it like this: 2023, potentially you have him beat Austin Theory, he becomes United States champion, and then maybe 2024, 2025, you see him with the WWE World Heavyweight Championship or the WWE Undisputed Championship, whatever it is. You need to strike on this. You have to, because there's no other way that this can go for this person here, because I don't believe that there is anybody that's going to be as ready at this point that has everybody eating in the palm. Look, Cody is Cody. Cody's already going to be Cody. He's slotted for that reason. But you're talking about somebody who doesn't have a lineage, somebody who probably wasn't going to be a factor in Vince McMahon's era, and somebody who on his own 2 feet, with his own ability, without any backing, like on screen, with no on-screen backing. Triple H may be backing him perfectly, but on screen, you're pretty much looking at somebody who basically doesn't have anything that ties him to anyone else other than himself. Stone Cold had that. I mean, granted, Stone Cold had the whole on-screen thing with $1 Million Man, but that's different. This year, we're talking like Austin 316 Austin, stepped out of somebody else's shadow and did his own thing, and somebody has any connections like that. But this is perfect. This is perfect, and I believe that all the comparisons between LA Knight, Stone Cold, Austin, all of that helps this situation, because then it sets in people's minds that this is the person to look at. This is the person to look for within the realm of 2023, 2024 in the future of WWE. So I say to all of that, book that shit. Book that shit. But anyway, these are my thoughts. This is where I believe things should go. This is why I believe LA Knight is the potential megastar of the future of WWE. And we're going to get into some other stuff that's going on, within WWE, and where I believe the future factions, future superstars, titles, whatever the case is, the state of WWE is set for something magnificent if done the right way. So, with that said, whether you loved it, hate it, don't forget to rate it, thumbs up, thumbs down, leave all your comments, concerns, questions down below. Whether you agree or disagree with my take on LA Knight being a future star, it doesn't matter because these are my opinions, so whatever. But regardless of the fact, let's hope that on the next event I get my title back, whichever one that is. I have to check, see what's coming up next. But either way, look out for the next one, because the next one we will be talking about the Judgment Day. So until next time, until you see this handsome face and hear this immaculate voice, I bid you all to do, you beautiful, beautiful people. And until next time, tag the fucketh.
Dollars make a way to make a change. Gotta be insane to make those same mistakes again. So I'm switching lane to lane. Pray the curb don't